Hello, everybody, and welcome to the bi-weekly Provider AWS meeting. I am your moderator facilitator for today, Justin Santa Barbara. I work at Google. A reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be put on the internet. So please be mindful of our code of conduct, which boils down to being a good person. I should have said today is Friday, July 23rd, 2021. We don't have a lot on the agenda today. I am going to paste a link to the agenda in the chat so that people can have it if they would like to add their names, which I see Nick has done. Thank you, Nick. Or would like to add any items, but otherwise we will just go through, I guess, sort of the triage of our sort of open issues and see how it goes from there. Let me try to share my screen. Let's see. Okay, can you see the Provider AWS window and about 1, 2, 3, 4 other tabs?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we had a couple of, just to review what happened last time, the IPv6 PR was ready for review. Thank you, Nick, and anyone else that reviewed and merged that. I have not yet looked at this PR for service account names other than what we talked about last time. But yeah.
I think it's ready to merge. Walter approved it, but it needs another LGTM just because the most recent commits didn't have it. So
well, we can ping Walter.
If anybody wants to look at it, that would be very much appreciated.
Awesome. I will try to after this meeting then. Otherwise, we're going to go through the issues in Cloud Provider AWS repo and Kubernetes that are tagged AWS. We'll start with the Cloud Provider AWS, which are, we tend to sort by recently updated. There aren't as many of them, obviously, in here. I don't know if there are any that, let's see, in the past 2-ish weeks, it seems like it's this point up. But I don't know if there are any that anyone wants to call out. Otherwise, we can sort of go through them in order. All right, well, let's go through them in order. Creation of an NLB ignores the proxy protocol annotation. When an NLB is created, its listeners' target groups are created, but they aren't enabling proxy protocol.
This comes from the entry limitation. So in the entry code, we did not support proxy protocol for NLB. But then if we use the AWS load balancer controller, we do support the proxy protocol and annotation. So that was the reason this issue might still there in the cloud provider.
Yeah, I think we should just comment that. And I don't think it's super high priority for us to add it to entry since it's supported by load balancer controller.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think it's not like a bug fix, so it seems like it's a motivator to get to the out of tree one. So I think that's reasonable. Would one of you two, Nick or Kishore, mind commenting on that then?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then we can keep going. The next one is a request for a more flexible NLB health check with health check payload. Ideally, that the request is that in a Kubernetes service, the NLB health check should be able to send a small payload to the target port or endpoint, which I assume is supported by NLB. This isn't some effective in AWS feature. I don't know. Is that supported by NLB?
Not that I know of that we can send a payload.
Okay.
I've seen like TCP and HTTP, HTTPS, but not like any custom payload that customers can configure, not to my knowledge. So mostly like a NLB side feature itself.
I'm gonna Google Google really quick just to make sure, but yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had something similar in the KOps project where we overcame a limitation of, I think it was classic, but whatever, by basically using a sidecar pod. So maybe that's something we could recommend here. So in other words, sidecar pod or sidecar container speaks, in this case, Zookeeper, and basically like when a health check, an HTTP health check comes in, it will do it, in this case, telnet health check to Zookeeper. Does that make sense? Shall I suggest
they could also configure TCP based health check, right? So it's only gonna look at the connection establishment and not worry about the internal protocol details in there.
Yes, that's true. I think so if I recall correctly, Zookeeper has a bunch of, I think they call them 4-letter commands. And one of them is, are you okay? And it's like it's a deeper status check. It's more like a Kubernetes readiness check. So, and it returns, I am okay or something based on this.
I'm
and
okay.
Exactly. I can't remember what it says if it's not okay. But anyway, so I think there is a not okay answer. So it's not just, I think it can be listening and not be happy. But I think also we can just, I mean, if we assuming NLB doesn't support this, and it's a fairly niche request as well, then I can comment and recommend a sidecar container to adapt the Zookeeper protocol to HTTP or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable recommendation.
I see the concern was because the Zookeeper server throws an error if they don't receive the protocol. That's what I feel. Okay.
All right, I was muting to type, but we can come back to that one. I will come on that in a minute. All right, well, let's keep going. Publish credential provider consumables. Some random person called Nick Turner.
Yeah, this is on my to-do list. Either me or somebody from my team. I have sad news, actually. Aberk left. Went to some strange team at Google, actually, not GKE though. I'm not sure what team it is. It's something to do with functions in the cloud, I think. But so he was assigned this. If you want to just assign me, I can take it from him.
Awesome. Google has very imaginative naming, so it will probably be called Cloud Functions. If it's functions in the cloud, let's reassign to you. I think I could just do that.
But give him a warm welcome for me.
Okay, I will do. All right. Yeah, but that would be wonderful to get those published. The next one is another, I presume, tracking issue, which is a test, Nick, another one of yours, test framework for EDE tests.
Yeah, I have a PR for this, which I started, but one of my coworkers had some thoughts here. So working on it, haven't had time in the last couple months, but getting back to it soon.
Very cool. An issue with the Helm chart, relatively old one, but recently updated. Let's see what, okay. So they got an image pulled back off when using the latest Helm chart, and comments are that it also happens with the cloud controller image.
Can you just assign me? I'll test it and make sure. It looks like the right.
Like it worked. Oh, I see this one. The 131. Yeah.
Oh, that's because I don't think.
Maybe it wasn't published.
Okay.
It seems like it sounds just like the last issue or the last but one where it was around publishing these artifacts. So
I'll double check in the repo right now.
Oh, it's just credential provider. I'll be like, might also be a lack of V. The V before the 121. They have V in here, but like sometimes we use V, sometimes we don't.
Right.
Okay. Or just there's actually no tag. It's and Marcin Stefani says that there are date-based tags, but no pure.
Oh, yeah, I can confirm that. Okay, let's see. So I think, yeah, okay. There's a 121 alpha 0 with the date prefix. And there's a 120 alpha 0 without the date prefix. Yeah, maybe we pushed the 120 alpha 0 by hand. No, I don't think we would have done that. This could have been like prior to and after a change to the automation, maybe. We did make a change to the container build automation. So yeah, I will follow up on this one, I guess. I don't know, do we care if there's a tag like without the date? It's convenient, certainly.
Yeah, it's certainly, I mean, it would be nice to have the tag. It's sort of what everyone else does. So let's have the clean tag.
The clean tag, yeah. Okay. All right, I will work on that.
But I mean, if it's a massive pain, you're right. It doesn't really matter. It's just more consistent.
Yeah, I think it should be relatively easy to sort out.
Wonderful. All right. Let's go back to the this one. I think the next one here is EBS storage class not working, and somehow get cloud provider returns nil, which seems very unrelated, but let's see. Trying to use the out of tree provider, I guess, with an RKE cluster. Is that Rancher or Red Hat?
I would guess Red Hat.
Rancher.
Oh, Rancher. Okay.
Let's see, and then the cloud provider, the cloud managed deployment finished successfully. No control and service control because we had a new EBS storage class, then created a new pod with PVC using that storage class, which sounds right. And then the PVC cannot create a new EBS on the cloud and returns fails version volume with storage class. Ugh, okay.
Do they need? I mean, they either need CSI or they need to pass external cloud volume plugin equals AWS to the KCM, right?
Right. I mean, this just sounds like it's not set up correctly, right? This doesn't sound like a bug. It sounds like or it doesn't at first inspection. It sounds more like it just isn't set up correctly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But they are using the chart, so. I think maybe the way to do this is just make sure if we work towards having tests or something like that, then we can be confident that it does work. And if vendors want to make things work, then they should make things work.
Yeah, well put. Okay, I guess the way to do this is to look at this Rancher deployment. I'll also ask to see like what their settings are in terms of do they have external cloud volume plugin set and do they have CSI installed, and then see what is expected based on their settings. So
yeah, I think it's reasonable to verify that it works with some configuration and highlight the flags you think are most likely to be wrong, or the like mismatch that's most likely to be wrong, and then say like here's the working configuration if we have such a thing, right? So
yeah,
but
yeah. Cool. I'll self-assign here.
Okay, thank you. Node labeling from AWS tags. I think we've talked about this. Oh yeah, indeed a lot, because this is a June 2020 issue. Okay, and this is the idea that goes around a lot, saying that we want to label nodes from AWS instance or EC2 instance or EC2 instance tags. And it looks like we do. Okay. I didn't know that we did that in KOps, but all right. Apparently we do some of this. I think we do it because we have to for cluster autoscaler, but anyway.
Yeah, Abrick started this one.
Okay, I mean, I think you said Abrick started this?
He started looking into it. Yeah, I don't know how far he got. But so
Okay,
is this,
well,
is the proposal to take like all tags or just under a specific prefix?
I mean, that's where it gets tricky, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say this is not a proposal, or at least not a formal proposal, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's appropriately triaged. We could unassign Abrick. That might be it.
Yeah,
Because I assume he's no
that's-
longer working on it.
Good action item.
But other than that, it is a feature request. It is not assigned to a milestone, and I think that's correct. It sounds like there's some progress going on people trying to point out how other things in the ecosystem do it and what we should do. I'm very unsure why we do this, but let's have a look at why KOps does it. All right, when I commented on the diff. Okay. It's a pretty big diff. All right, well, it's not clear why we do it. Let's see if it was clear in the initial. Source it was from the cloud. Oh, okay. All right, it's a little misleading to say that we do this. The reason is we were, it is possible to configure some node labels that also get reflected into the tags. And then there was a race condition whereby when we were getting the node labels for an instance, we might get the wrong ones based on the wrong version. And so the workaround was to source those instead from the tags, because those correctly follow the correct version of the autoscaling launch configuration or launch template. So I don't think it's quite accurate to say that we are reflecting the, we are only doing it for the, or should only be doing it for the labels which in KOps we synchronize back and forth between the two. So it's not quite accurate to say that it is done in KOps.
And it wasn't intended as a feature of synchronization.
Exactly, it's not intended as
to node levels.
Exactly, it is an artifact of the fact that we know that we set those in that way, but yes.
Well, this clearly is like a pretty popular ask. It's got 27 thumbs up, so I think it's definitely something we should look at.
Yes, it sounds like actually one of the, looking at this, the specific issue that opened this is around the role labels, which is blocked by kubelet, so that could be sort of the problem. So that it's basically asking for a, so KOps has a privileged controller, which is a Bora controller that is able to apply those labels. But if you're doing it like with kubeadm, for example, I don't know how you can set those labels.
I see.
And that's the label that is also rendered by gcontrol, right? Like when you get nodes, it shows the label based on, or shows the role based on those labels.
Correct. And it has a controversial history because there was some confusion about whether KK, whether it's, KK would like the label not to exist, but KK has no proposal for how to do anything with Kubernetes without that label. So
yeah,
it's an interesting like position.
EKS's managed node groups feature is also blocked from applying kubelet forbidden labels to its nodes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it'd be interesting to know, like, I mean, I'm happy to share how KOps does it, but it'd be interesting to hear how other people do it and like find if we can find some share.
It does apply the label at some point.
kubeDM?
Yeah, like it joins a node and then it runs some like post join process that like applies the label, but I don't know how it bypasses the kubelet deny rule for the label.
It might just be running. I mean, you just have to run as a different user, so they might just run as an admin.
Ah, that might be it.
There's the.
This would be oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the joining process, but doesn't the like bootstrapper role have something to do with that? It's like the node bootstrapper with its own permissions. I don't know.
Yes, I think this might be a good SIG cloud provider topic, maybe, which is essentially how do nodes securely join. And I don't, there is no, it would be a great, like KOps has a relatively secure joiner, or we intend it to be like secure by more secure design or intent of design, but it's never gone through an audit. So, but for example, using the AWS instance data, is that right? Instance document, the signed instance document, or using a call to the signed token service to sort of prove you are the node that you say you are, to then get to start that bootstrap process, and then to securely identify the node and identify which roles or labels and taints it should have, because those are what those are security sensitive things. That's why we stopped allowing the kubelet to do it, because the idea was if you had a privileged workload, if any node could just self-assign that label, you would have a good chance of getting that privileged workload. So that's why it was blocked, but there was no proposal for how to actually securely deliver the labels instead.
Yeah, it's an interesting ask. I don't know, Andrew, do you think this is worth bubbling up into SIG Cloud Provider, or if we were going to look at doing something like this in, I don't know, in our cloud node controller? I mean, it probably would have to, it would require changes to the node controller logic itself. Like there's no.
Yeah, and like
there's no place to modify the node.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And potentially the default service count and roles of the node controller, I guess. But so this request has come up multiple times across many providers, where like people want their own way of kind of doing like node pools. So they use tags so that then they can use those for node selectors and whatnot. So, you know, if we're seeing it in enough places, I think it's worth talking about doing this in a generic way where you can, like maybe not specifically with tags, but like a mechanism to request some arbitrary labels that should be applied to node as it's registered, similar to zones, but like just more generalized. I think that would be good.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. I'll take a note to bring it to the next SIG Cloud Provider meeting.
Do you know if that is next week or the week after?
We had one this week, I believe. So
okay,
should be the week after. Cool.
All right. Thank you. All right. Another long runner. We're up to 24 days ago. So I guess we actually didn't have a meeting last week. So why don't we do the next two? Because then we get to 28 days ago, and then that's good. I think that gets us to the, yeah. At least for this repo, we can see if we have the appetite to do the next repo. So the next issue in the Cloud Provider AWS repo is NLB services with external traffic policy local route traffic to nodes that cannot handle it for a short time when a node joins the cluster.
So this is like a known issue, like known limitation from the NLB side, where like due to the health check complication, they apparently are healthy for the short period of time, and eventually, like when the health check kicks in, that's when the true health check status gets reflected in the target. So for now, like one way is to use the IP targets so that this limitation isn't there. And we also follow up with the NLB team. We are following up, actively engaging them to see what would be a proper fix for these customers.
Wonderful, thank you. That sounds great. And yeah, so that was the last update, effectively, that there is a known issue, and yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, we are aware of this, and we are actively pursuing this at this moment. I don't have any other detailed information, but as and when we have publicly available information, we'll update the tickets.
Hey, so
sounds great.
Why doesn't the health check node port like mechanism not?
So it's because of the NLB, right? So when the NLB instance join the target group, like when the instances are added, like for the short period of time, NLB's internal accounting treats as healthy. So it's actually trying to prove the target, and because of how legacy NLB work, like they do send some traffic to the instance. So that's where this thing comes into picture.
I see. So like it's like the default health status prior to probing the health check node port.
Correct. They do send some like, even though it's unhealthy, initially NLB does send some packets just to probe and make sure like things are in order. So that is the reason why this confusion is. So it's for the short period of time initially when the node joins the target group.
Cool, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a lot we can do there, and it sounds like it is under control. So I think we can move on to the next issue, which is sounds similar but a little different. First provision of NLB ignores logging and cross-zone. Oh no, sorry, this is different. This is Kubernetes side, I guess. First provisioning of NLB ignores. Sorry,
I fixed this entry. Sorry to interject. I fixed this entry. We probably need to get the fix ported to this repo as well, because it sounded like similar thing that I worked in the entry code. I think they have mentioned the PR as well here.
Yeah, I did a cherry pick of everything that had changed from entry up to a point, but yeah, I think maybe I didn't, maybe this came after. So I can go back and look and see what if there's any other fixes that I need to Port.
Is it a manual process? Like you have to look at it time to time, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it is right now. It's unfortunate.
Sure. So if you need help, do let me know. I can also, like, whenever there's any fixes or any issues that I know of, I can also see if I can cherry pick.
Yeah, I mean, you could ping me or cherry pick whatever works if you notice something, but it's not super difficult, so it's not a big deal.
And I don't have a testing framework for this cloud provider v2. That was the reason why I wasn't doing a cherry pick, but sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So yeah, that's hopefully that can get cherry picked and then published. That'd be awesome. That was the 28 days, which I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to call out below the line. The line is here. I don't know if you can see where my mouse is, but the line is around here. Otherwise, I propose we take a quicker look at KK. That one looks weird. Okay, it sounds like we need to do more documentation, I think would be the request there. All right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll have a look at, or we'll flip over to KK. All right, flipping over to KK. These are issues labeled with area provider AWS, sorted by most recently updated. And we have, looks like we have 3 that are updated in the last 28 days, which I propose we have a look at, and then we can do a call out for any others. How about that? So the Cloud Controller Manager doesn't query cloud provider for the node name. Okay, that sounds odd, causing the node to be removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about this one in SIG Cloud Provider.
Okay.
Basically, when you switch over to external cloud provider, there's kind of 3 cases, I guess, that a new kubelet coming up can configure themselves with regards to this, or 3 different cases that were, anyway, so kubelet can start up fresh. You can have an existing kubelet when you upgrade, or you can modify an existing node and upgrade the kubelet on the node. So when we're talking about EC2 instances, and when you modify a kubelet running on a node and change, so when kubelet starts up and the host name doesn't agree with the node name, kubelet then can't find its node object, and so you'll run into issues. So I guess if kubelet can't find its node object, it's going to stop posting updates, and then eventually the node will probably get deleted and pods will get evicted. But Andrew mentioned that if you use the hostname override flag, or potentially the provider ID flag, then at the same time that you upgrade the kubelet, then, or I guess, yeah, same time as you upgrade the kubelet, then kubelet will be able to find the node object and everything will work fine. When you create a new kubelet, it should also, that case should also work. And when you have just an existing kubelet, which already has its node name figured out, that should also work. So this was the only case, and I think there's a workaround that is fine. So I don't know, there was some other discussion about potential changes to the kubelet, but I don't think it we got super far. So
and if I do have a new node, I do not need to pass any flags other than cloud provider external.
That's my understanding. Andrew can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, I think so. Yeah.
So that, I mean, that seems reasonable. Like, it sounds like in the long term, we're in a good place. It sounds like in the expected use case, there's no workaround, which is, we don't really expect people to keep nodes, to upgrade nodes in place in general in Kubernetes, especially on a cloud, right? So, and there is a workaround, so that seems reasonable. It sounds like you've put excellent comments on there, so that looks great. Next, number 2 of our 3, external traffic policy local on AWS does not work if the DHCP of the VPC is not set exactly to region.compute.internal. Well, we definitely have seen that sort of issue, and it sounds like it affects external traffic policy local. Gossip cluster, I'm guessing they're running KOps. I don't know why it would matter, to be honest, but
So the recent comment was like, it works on a certain version. So that was what the recent update was. I haven't had a chance to like recreate this exactly and verify. That's why it's still open.
okay, and it sounds like it's around passing the hostname override to EKS, I'm guessing. Sorry, passing the hostname override to kubeproxy, at least on EKS. It's a long runner. Okay, so it sounds like, I don't know why the DNS name is used. That's a little weird, but must be a reason.
That's a default version, default option, right? If we don't specify the override, that's what gets used. So exactly
why is it using it?
So this is the kubeproxy, as I understand. So
right, maybe it's finding the node somehow. Okay, well, I'm gonna have a look at this. It sounds like people are looking at it as well. Sounds like it's common to EKS and 5 years. Is it 5 years old? I don't think it's 5 years old.
Wait, so when they say external traffic policy doesn't set to local doesn't work, what does that mean? All targets in the target group were unhealthy, even though the pod.
I mean, to be fair, this is 3 years ago, so it may be that there are different symptoms over time, but
yeah, it could also be combined with local traffic policy issues that we have seen. But again, I haven't had a chance to like exactly replicate this.
You and I are already assigned to it, so that's I think that's the right set of assignees, so that's perfect. But yes, I will also try to take a look at this one.
So this generally happens. So like there's a hostname passed to kubelet, and then there's also the hostname passed to kubeproxy. And so if kubeproxy is given a different hostname, then it doesn't render local endpoints. Like it doesn't think an endpoint for some node is its own endpoint, and that's where the local traffic policy would fail. So that would be my guess for this one.
So it's about resolving the node or finding the node.
Yeah, like kubelet's understanding of the node name needs to be exactly what the node name on the kubelet is, which on AWS needs to be the private DNS.
Yes, I mean this is a good workaround as well. The using the downward API, I think it's called, to pass in the real node name. That's nice. All right. Sounds like we should probably have a look at that. Sounds like there's a reasonable explanation for what is likely going on, and we just need to figure out whether it's still happening and whether our respective tools should just bake in effectively this, which actually feels very reasonable. Okay. Next, and the final one, which we talked about, another similar one. Health checks failed outside of ingress controller AWS NLB. Exact same issue as the previous issue. Health checks, which the same title. Okay. But cannot get it to work. I have exactly the same conf in another customer. It does work. General Nginx ingress controller. Okay, so I wonder if this is the same as, no. Does he have external traffic policy local?
Doesn't look like. I did try this, but again, I wasn't able to reproduce or get to the bottom of it yet.
Okay.
Still in my list.
Okay, yes, that makes sense. I mean, I think that's all that we're just doing a triage. So we're just sort of like trying to make sure that we are keeping aware of these things. And it sounds like we are. Oh, so there is another external traffic policy actually. Oh. So it might actually be related to external traffic policy local.
Okay.
Is this the same person, JT Weaver? Who filed this originally? No, Rice Bowl Jr. Sig Network, Moonfish. Oops. Yeah, it sounds like it might actually be related to the other one, which would be nice, obviously, but because external traffic policy local certainly, or external traffic policy has definitely come up a lot recently. That's interesting. All right. That's a good, oh. I read that as huge salary.
So did
I. Okay.
Oh, so this might also be related to the VPC, like the.
Oh yeah, it links back. Yes. The external traffic policy with a node name. So that would be nice.
I see. Okay, more incentive to get to the bottom of these two issues.
Exactly. All right. I think that would actually sort of make sense, and that might because I don't think the original reporter in this issue called out external traffic policy, but they may have had it anyway. I'm not sure. Is this a Helm chart? Oh, it's a Helm chart. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, they have.
There it is.
There it is.
Good news. All right. So why don't we mark as a likely dupe? Likely. Thanks for the pointer. Sounds like this might be same root cause as punk. Is that right? 6146, yes.
Correct.
All right, that's good news.
Cool. All
right. Those were the issues that we wanted to do based on our 28-day rule. I don't know if there's any others that people would like to call out. I'm going to move the line. There we are. That is the line. Otherwise, we can give people a couple of minutes back.
Yeah, I think we made some progress.
I think we actually did. I feel like they're in reasonable shape. It feels like there's a couple of issues which are like tractable as well. I feel like we have a good grasp on them, or beginnings of a grasp on them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I will stop the recording and wish everyone a very happy weekend.
Cool. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.